Hi everyone, today I'm going to share an extraordinary story of kindness, resilience, and the unexpected twists life throws our way. But first, let me ask you, have you ever done something purely selfless, not expecting anything in return, only to have that act change your life in ways you couldn't have imagined? Let me tell you about Emma, a young woman whose single act of kindness transformed her life forever. Emma's life was anything but easy. After losing her father to a tragic car accident years ago, her family's financial situation had taken a drastic turn. Her mother, once vibrant and full of energy, had worked tirelessly to support Emma and her two younger siblings. Over time, her mother's health began to decline, and it became clear that Emma needed to step up. With her family relying on her, Emma found the courage to apply for a position at a well-established company, a job that could be the turning point for her family's future. The day of her interview dawned bright but chilly. Emma, dressed in her neatly pressed but slightly worn outfit, clutched a small envelope containing just enough money for a one-way train ticket to the city. She had saved this money painstakingly over weeks, forgoing little luxuries like coffee and snacks, knowing it was the key to her family's survival. Her plan was simple: nail the interview, secure the job, and find another way to pay for the journey back home. Despite her nerves, hope surged within her as she boarded the train, envisioning a brighter future for her family. When Emma arrived at the bustling train station, her focus was solely on getting to her interview on time. However, as she made her way toward the exit, her eyes fell on a disheveled man sitting on a bench. He looked exhausted, his clothes wrinkled and his face weary. Something about him tugged at Emma's heart. He wasn't holding a sign or asking for help, but his body language spoke volumes. Emma hesitated. She had so little herself. Could she afford to help? Then she remembered her mother's words: "Even when you have nothing, you can still give kindness." Gathering her courage, Emma approached the man and asked softly, "Are you okay?" The man looked up, his eyes filled with both gratitude and embarrassment. He explained that he had lost his wallet and was stranded with no way to get home. Emma's heart ached for him. Without a second thought, she reached into her envelope and handed him her last few coins, enough for a train ticket. The man's eyes widened in disbelief. "Are you sure? Don't you need this?" he asked. Emma smiled and said, "I'll figure something out. You need it more than I do." As the man thanked her profusely, Emma waved it off, saying, "Take care of yourself," and hurried away. Her mind quickly shifted back to her situation. Now, without money for her return trip, the stakes of her interview felt even higher. She couldn't afford to fail. Her nerves grew as she entered the sleek office building and waited to be called in. The weight of her family's hopes rested squarely on her shoulders. When Emma's name was called, she took a deep breath and walked into the interview room. Her heart raced as she saw a panel of stern-looking professionals seated at a long table. But what stopped her in her tracks was the man sitting at the center of the panel. He was clean-shaven, impeccably dressed, and radiated an air of authority. It was the man from the train station. For a moment, Emma thought she must be imagining things. Could this be the same man she had helped just hours ago? The man's expression shifted into one of recognition, but he did not indicate their earlier encounter. Instead, he introduced himself as Mr. James Hart, the CEO of the company. Emma's stomach churned. Had she embarrassed him by helping him earlier? Would he hold it against her? Swallowing her nerves, she answered the panel's questions with honesty and poise, relying on her preparation and determination. Despite the intimidating environment, she felt a sense of calm. She had done her best, and now it was out of her hands. After what felt like an eternity, the interview concluded. Emma left the room, feeling a mix of relief and uncertainty. As she waited for the results, she couldn't help but wonder if Mr. Hart would say anything about their earlier encounter. Had she made the right decision in helping him? When the panel returned, the lead interviewer announced that Emma had been selected for the position. Overwhelmed with emotion, Emma could hardly believe her ears. That's when Mr. Hart stood up and addressed the room. "Before we wrap up," he began, "I want to share something about this young woman." He turned to Emma, his eyes filled with gratitude. Earlier today, I found myself in an unusual and vulnerable position. I was returning from a discreet visit to an orphanage I've been supporting privately for years. On my way back, my wallet was stolen. Stranded at the train station without money, I was at a complete loss. That's when I encountered Emma. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle in the room. She didn't hesitate. Despite being on her way to an interview that could change her life, she gave me the last of her money. Money she had set aside for her journey home to help a stranger. She didn't know who I was, what I had, or what I could do for her. She simply chose to help. Her selflessness moved me deeply, and I want to be clear, he added, his voice firm, that her selection today was entirely merit-based, a decision made by this panel. But the character she showed, the character that no resume can fully capture, is something that deserves to be known. The room fell silent as Mr. Hart recounted their encounter at the train station. Emma's face burned with embarrassment, but Mr. Hart continued, I want to make it clear that her selection for this position was based entirely on merit. She earned this job through her qualifications and her outstanding performance during the interview. However, her selflessness and compassion speak volumes about her character, and I believe she will bring that same integrity to this role. Emma's eyes filled with tears as the room erupted into applause. At that moment, she realized that her act of kindness had come full circle most unexpectedly. Mr. Hart approached her afterwards and said, Emma, you reminded me today that success isn't just about what we achieve, but how we treat others along the way. Welcome to the team. Emma's journey had come full circle, not just because she secured the job, but because she had stayed true to herself in the process. Her act of kindness had been a simple gesture, yet it had changed her life in ways she never imagined. Kindness creates opportunities in ways we least expect. When we extend selfless compassion to others, the universe often finds a way to reward us, even if it takes time. Emma's story reminds us that the smallest acts of generosity can have the greatest impact. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.